Welcome back to the Premier Squad podcast. I'm your host, Jerome. Today, we'll be going through a few different of our shows. In our first segment, we'll be going over The Boys. I am joined by my co host, Ken, and we'll have a guest with us starting off today, James. If we'd like to get right into it, Ken, with our pros and cons, favorite scene, and our score out of 10, get us
Okay.
off.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, of course, when it comes to The Boys, the acting, the writing, and the pacing is, of course, always very well done. The plot is always very well written. For me, some of the pros, Soldier Boy, number one. Again, like, when you talk about Homelander, you're talking about one of the best characters that has been
Hmm.
introduced, I think, in our space.
Yeah.
So when you can introduce a character, in my opinion, that has competing presence and aura, I think that's
Yeah.
actually fantastic. And you can see why he would have gotten his own show. So I definitely say that's a positive. Favorite scene, of course, it's the final season. So we've been promised a lot
Hmm.
of deaths, a lot of big ones for me. So I have two. The Homelander A Train chasing.
Yeah.
Again, I thought they really delivered on the death. I
Yeah.
myself love speedsters and those type of action scenes, so I thought that was very well done. I thought A Train went out basically the best way to go out.
Hmm.
Second favorite scene, again related to Soldier Boy, was the Soldier Boy versus Marathon Man. And what I really
Yeah.
liked about
Yeah.
that,
There you
again, like, and
go.
it's not just Soldier Boy, but
Hmm.
like in speedsters, but again, when you see all these characters that have powers in the show, they don't have skill. Like, they aren't superheroes, they are
Yeah.
product. But Soldier Boy is actually a very skilled strategic soldier. So like when he's in that mansion, he's in real danger. Like, there are
Yeah.
powerful people there, and he's able to
Yeah.
really just utilize a speedster just to take everyone out. And it's just really cool to see that in a show where there aren't many skilled, powered individuals. And Homelander doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have any skill either. He just has god tier power. So that was really cool. Getting into some cons, I think things always have felt a bit repetitive for me in the last few
Yeah.
seasons. Again, I mean, like, it's Homelander. I know he has like new goals, and it's the boys are a thorn in his side. It just seems not necessarily recycled, but very, very repetitive.
Hmm.
And far as my next con, closure. This is the finale of what I feel has been a great show. And those
Yeah.
first few episodes, I felt the closure there, but these last few episodes they felt like strong episodes, but not that grand closure that
We're
I was
tying up
expecting.
tying up ends that we've had ongoing through these 5 seasons, right?
Yes, yes, and maybe that can change. Maybe that'll change. Like with the last few episodes, we have 3 episodes left, and then one last positive for me is Oh Father. Again, like, you always have like these
Yeah.
heavyweight characters, and he just got introduced. So this uh, priest that's a part of this seven. I don't even know what his powers are, which I think like is actually just as fascinating. But I just love David Diggs' performance, and the
Yeah.
way that the character is written.
Yeah.
Again, now you're talking about like the church. Obviously, you go from Congress and the church, just a lot of like big things, and I think he's beautifully representing the church.
Yeah. I think
Those
I
are all my
think his
thoughts.
voice comes off too as like takes like a slightly demonic tone, not overdone, but
Right.
when it starts portraying out and going through the audience, like yeah, it changes significantly. So it's I can see where you're coming from with that.
You think he has mind power, like some type of mind
I
telepathy or
know,
something?
right? I felt like when I first heard him speak that it was potentially swaying the audience in what he's saying.
Right.
As the figurehead of a church, that's what they're engaged to do in a way. Not in a bad way, but if they kind of leaned into that, I could totally see that being a part of it. The way, like, if you're in front of him, you hear it, and it makes you just believe it just a little bit more, just a little bit more.
That's
So I
cool.
can I can hear in that.
I thought he had
Anything else?
powers like Black Canary.
No.
Yeah,
The canary cry.
Yeah, I was like,
Justice League
oh, that's
Unlimited. But anything else, Ken?
No, I got a few other things, but I think it's better to tackle that for the
Yeah.
discussion.
All right, James, on to you.
Yeah, it's actually I echo a lot of Ken's points, and I'm
Hmm.
as you're talking about this, I'm trying to think of any way I could like kind of play devil's advocate to any of these, but I really cannot. My positive is for sure almost anything and everything with Soldier Boy. A lot of what kind of fell flat for me last season is not having Soldier Boy there.
Okay.
I think it hurt the show a little bit when you introduce such, as Ken said, a dynamic and powerful force amongst other dynamic, powerful forces, and to be able to hold the screen and have that kind of presence, it speaks both to the writing and our supernatural veterans' acting ability.
Hmm.
Let me think. Like my favorite scene would probably be the end scene for this past episode. I really like the
Right there with
visual,
you. Yep. Hmm.
but it also ties into my negative, which is the point Ken made about things being stale, and it's like kind of like we're going in circles with a couple,
Yep.
especially with everything with the boys proper.
The
Uh,
boys. Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing. I really don't have anything to say about any of those characters or their storylines, and
Yeah.
that's a problem when you have a show that's supposed to be named after them. These are our heroes, but the more dynamic and interesting storylines have to do with the superhero government standees that we have, the
Yep.
implosion of the seven,
Yeah.
and how, if there's something for me to like nitpick, it would be Homelander kind of feeling stale as well,
Yeah.
because he does seem to be a little more, just more of the same, and that's why we have to have all these other dynamic elements around him. Oh, Father, the brief time we got with Marathon Man, I thought
Hmm.
was great. It was just some of my favorite stuff. Taking my love of Supernatural out of it. But yeah, I think I went over best scene, things I liked, things I didn't
Hmm.
like, and I can't score this yet until the end, I assume. So, or no.
Okay. No problem. So for me, when it comes to the pros, just to jump it back to the beginning, because this has stuck with me throughout, the set design going into the final season was amazing to me. I really loved the intern camp matched with capitalism. And you bring this together, and everybody's wearing red, white, and blue sweaters and stuff like that as their internment attire. So I really appreciated that and everything that they set up there. The like echoes of freedom that went throughout the camp is just a hilarious juxtaposition amongst what our characters were in at that time. And then the Deeps podcast on there and all the different signage he had in the background with all the male masculinity stuff, I think was just hilarious. Like I would just love to just be in there with the set designers to see as they're like, what do we put? What words do we put up there? How do we, make it look like this superhero government has really taken a turn authoritarian and for the worse is kind of degraded slowly. So I've really appreciated that. I really want to talk about Anthony Starr's performance. I think him encapsulating the whole God ideal has been an amazing echo and kind of built upon, like you guys were saying, it's very similar, and I'll touch on that in the cons, but he's really embodied what it is to like fully believe with the standout that he is being as powerful as he is, as we know, violence is like the supreme authority when it comes to everything, and he has that over everybody right now. So for him to kind of go through his mental state and start to believe in his own milk, um, and see himself as a god, I've really appreciated that. And then when it comes to a lot of the smaller scenes, one of my cons really quickly is exactly what you guys are talking about. I feel like we're in this muck and every character has been poisoned by it, where we're kind of all just very similar characters. No one, what felt like more individual characters in the very beginnings of the seasons. Now I feel like kind of everybody feels the same. Everybody's kind of talking the same. Even Kimiko, coming out from being silent to now her voice is just kind of mimics everybody's kind of language throughout the show. So that's one of mine. But within that, it's the small scenes. So a couple of them, like when we focus on terror in the most recent episode, and you for the first time, I feel like in all of the boys, Butcher actually cares about something else besides killing Homelander because his dog ate some chocolate and is about to puke. So I just like that little moment of like them coming together to focus on something outside of their goal and the muck that they've kind of gone through into the final season. I've appreciated that. And then like Seth Rogen and that whole group of characters, once again, you're seeing like an impact of the universe that they're in. And I really appreciated being able to see them kind of sit around and talk about what do we do as actors in this situation with the government the way that it is, the way that the star letters are being brought out. How do we navigate that? So that small scene was really good. And then going into a little bit, a couple more of the cons. I kind of written this down previously and it was touched upon in this episode, but Sister Sage's character, I feel like really needs a payoff. And they literally touched on that in this most recent episode. I felt like she did a really good job in her step up to the plate when we focused in on her and her discussions with Ashley. Ashley said it to like, they're just really, I think, going in the right direction, hopefully trying to pay her off in some sort of way with her intelligence. I feel like she's had a lackluster impact this season. So I really want to see that pay off for her in some big scene as we get closer and closer to the end. My favorite scene, very small, kind of like James was talking about, that final scene where Firecracker gets her head as this podcaster for the Truth Bomb gets implanted into the wing of an eagle statue. Like I appreciated that, but it's not that. It's right before that when she's talking to him and trying to lather him up and appreciate him. And she's like, she drops a man. And I felt like amazing. Like, I don't know if that was probably written to the script, but the way Anthony Starr delivers man question mark, like is that whole embodiment of how he's progressed into this God complex character. So
Jerome,
overall, yeah, what's up? It's okay.
when he said man, do you think that's when it was over for her? Or was his plan always just to kill her? Like, was there ever an opportunity for her to convince him, or was that
Yeah.
decision already made?
So his mental state right now, I feel like flip flops between people living and dying. And I feel like that plays right into his God complex because he realizes that he just at any given time for almost everyone on this show, except for like kind of Stan pointed out his mental like daddy issues. He can just end your life or continue to let you live in his world. So I feel like it just goes back and forth. Like I wouldn't be surprised if inside his head it had flipped back and forth several times throughout that conversation. If she says man, she's dead. She lathers up a little bit more. She said, or he thinks, okay, maybe I'll let her live a little bit longer to serve me. And then just gets in his own head is like, wait, I cannot like, I think it gets getting closer and closer. And I think you kind of saw this with Ryan too, where like him swinging on his son was like a big, like, okay, he really believes he's really drinking his own milk now, you know, his own mother's milk. And that kind of sets up into he's kind of just erring now on the side of I'm just going to end you in his God complex association or disassociation from reality that he's going through. Um, so yeah, I think that's a good point. But yeah, back to just the score for me right now is probably about a 7.7. Is like we go about the muck of everything, and like you guys touched upon the boys proper, it being lackluster, and I feel more engaged on the other side of the show right now.
I think he was going to let her live because he told her pack her bags. Like I kind of feel a little different. I
Hmm.
think he thinks that she's so insignificant that he does like initially tell her you pack your bags. She calls him man. He's like,
Hmm. What?
"Hmm." He pauses, but he continues to talk. It's when she says something along the lines of God needs love too, or something
I
like that.
agree.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
That's what I
where
was
it's
going to
kind of
say
like
too. Yep.
the straw that broke the camel's back or pierced her skull. You know what I mean? Like it pretty much
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
because
to
it.
me that was the
Go ahead,
line.
Ken.
Yeah, because I think with that line, you could feel that she still had some belief in her but her old religion, and she
Yeah.
hadn't 100% converted to Homelander is, the God. And
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of set him off, and that was it
Yeah.
for her, which is unfortunate. I mean, like, because obviously at every single turn, other than the pillow talk, which is really
Yeah.
like her in private, she made the decision to support Homelander up until like that very last second, and it just wasn't
Yeah,
enough.
and she threw out the little Jesus statue in the trash when she
Right.
Yeah.
was going in. Like it shows,
But
like
it's too late at that point, right?
yes, yes, that was her.
Like it, yeah, it's a little thing, right? Is the way that they play on the Homelander Superman-esque hearing and stuff like that, that everybody like in the building at any given point in time is scared for their lives because they know they can be heard by Homelander, including her heartbeat and everything. I think they do a good job touching upon that. And really like shout outs to Firecracker's actor because that scene that she has with her former pastor, and then you see like the I would say the original and heartfelt breaking down for what she's saying, but obviously it's not because what she's saying is true. It's because she feels so heartbroken about what she has to say to keep this masquerade pushing forward
Mhm.
for the authoritarian threat that is Homelander, that you have to carry his ideas or your life's at stake. It comes down to that. My life's on the line. What do I have to do to survive another day? And I really like that too when you see how it kind of set up that everybody within the structure that is Homelander and the Seven in that and the government up to this point, they're all engaged in very selfish tendencies. So at some point in time, it's going to work against you. And this kind of goes with the Deep and Black Noir as well. Is that they're going to start acting their own ways to get their own steps up, and that's naturally just going to pit everybody against each other. And unfortunately, it's not Homelander is too strong to fall, so all the people underneath him will start to find find their way to get xed out of the community.
Mm.
Yeah, it's almost just like the natural flow of everything. And to add on to something that you said a little bit earlier about Sister Stage and her payoff, I've
Hmm.
loved getting to listen to her and Stan Edgar just essentially break down what's happening in cause and effect
Yeah.
and how
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
conclusion of all of that because both of them are in, I mean, Sage is a metahuman, so her superpower is her intelligence, but then you
Hmm.
have Stan Edgar who has a lot of that but also with a worldwide view on everything. So it's so interesting to listen to those two characters break down essentially like where the show is going to end just because of cause and effect. And Stan Edgar has a really cool line where he talks about you could replace superheroes with anything, but at the end of the day, product is always necessary. Now, whether it's athletes, whether it's music, whether it's sports, whatever, there'll always
Yeah.
be these individuals or celebrities that are utilized by corporations and will just end up, and again, not to be tongue in cheek, but again, it'll be a repetitive cycle that just never ends.
Yeah. And two, like, I really appreciate it because I know you and I can talk about a lot about uh, heroes and people with powers that are able to read minds. And I really like what they've done with Ashley's character. And I think she's done a great job portraying the kind of craziness that goes into not just her being able to read minds, but having her have like a second person on the backside of her head. And forming it to the boys universe, making it that crazy, like weird side that only the boys can bring out, but still have the mind reading there. But a lot of times it's in her own head about her past and what she's going through. So I've really appreciated where she's come from season one to right now as the vice president. Um, so yeah, I think that's all been really good.
Well, because to that point, I mean, as far as like mind reading, telepathy, and those type of things, when you get to see that at like on a bigger scale, again, O
Hmm.
Father is like literally like the head of the church. I mean,
Yeah.
now you're talking mass, you're talking controlling the masses. And it's just
Yeah.
always super cool, like we always talk about again with telepaths, like that's they can literally dive into the privacy of your thoughts in your
Yes.
head. And so it'll be really interesting to see if he ends up utilizing like that power on Homelander, or even if that's his power at all, or maybe he's just
Hmm.
that engaging. But again, like to your point, just like characters with telepathy that can mind read that
Yeah.
in different spots, both very very powerful
Yeah.
positions.
I
And
hope O
like,
Father.
go
Oh,
ahead. Go ahead, James.
I was gonna say,
You're up.
I hope O Father has. I hope it's not a power that can uh sort of like get into people's minds because I think he'd be a more more of a viable threat and sort of a terrifying
Yeah.
individual if he just naturally can talk like that and control the masses without any kind of enhancement.
Sure.
Hmm.
And some of that is shown too in when he talks to Firecracker when she
Yeah.
catches him and he's like, hey, here's like the breast milk from all of our donors,
Yeah.
and it goes to show he's got that side to him where it's like, okay, this guy is somebody you really do not want to fuck with.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, I thought they did a great job. Again, David Diggs, from Hamilton to this incredible range.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because Homelander, like imagine Homelander with the ability to tap into your mind. He can already understand your autonomic nervous system and the way your heart beats and stuff like that, and already tell what your baseline um, fears or desires are through feeling out your heartbeat and the way you're talking and getting to the thoughts within around him inside the building. So like all these things like combined. Go ahead.
I mean, it would be pretty terrifying because
Yeah.
right now he can feel when someone is afraid of him, and obviously he
Yeah.
can feel or hear or whatever that everyone is afraid of him. So if he could actually hear everyone's thoughts, he know just how much he's disliked and hated. I think that wouldn't be good for really anybody. That probably would drive him crazier than he already is. So
Yeah, you take out the whole planet at that point. But
Mhm.
yeah, because you just see like the fear, yeah. And then everybody, and it's funny too, because all he would do would be understanding what everyone's been telling him already. That like everybody's engaged with you. Nobody likes you. Not a single person likes you. And like that might just destroy him. So,
well,
but
you
yeah, I
think
think,
people have been telling
hmm,
him that though? Shit sounds like he's surrounded by yes men though, right? Haven't been that many people that have
well, yeah,
laid
true,
that truth
true.
out in front of him.
That's what
Yeah, but
Firecracker was telling him.
yeah,
I'm the only
Yeah,
one that loves you. They all use you or they fear you.
yeah. I think in and of itself, that's its like own telling way of that's just another person that's telling you everything that their body is not displaying,
right,
unfortunately
right.
for him. But I think a good question is just an interpretation of the powers and the characters that have said powers. I think is a great thing for the viewers to potentially engage in. Who is has the best interpretation of their powers and what they can do within the show. Um, Go ahead.
Jerome, yeah, I want to pose one more question for the team.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is like we can take this in the direction of what would be the most satisfying for us, but who do
Hmm.
we think kills Homelander and how does he die?
It's a great question.
And then I'll go first because I think you have a lot of really good candidates. So you have Butcher, you have
Hmm.
Huey, you have Soldier Boy, you have Marie from Gen V.
Yeah.
I would say I think it has to be Butcher. I think it's
Yeah.
probably the most. I mean, like James said earlier, I mean, this is the leader of the boys. It's their show. It's got to be. It's got to be him, or at least I think that'd be the most satisfying. I mean, Huey
Right.
is essentially the purest character in the show, but
Lost that. He's lost that in season
Mother's
Yeah,
Milk
five.
too. But
it'll
Yeah.
it'll probably be Huey, unfortunately. I feel it's going to be but who knows? Who knows? I
I,
I personally would like him to be a product of his own destruction. I hope he kills himself in a way. To
yeah.
me, that would be satisfying because
Yeah.
some
I
of
hear that.
the especially the whole gist of the show was when it started, the boys, Billy Butcher and his team without powers going against the people with powers. As
Hmm.
soon as we get Billy Butcher using the powers, the show overall kind of lost me a little bit.
Yeah. I hear
But
that.
then
that's a
again,
great point. That's a
it
great.
shows in as a positive, it shows that okay, this is a character who's willing to compromise his own beliefs to
Yeah.
get to this end. For me personally, as a viewer, for me to empathize or not empathize, wrong word, to kind of root for the boys, like I need them to at least stay true to like some form of code or whatnot. But that could just be the not what the writers intended for this specific character. Go
To,
on,
And
Joe.
I
Sorry.
think I was just
to
gonna say, I just really just quickly to touch on that. I think it could have been better if his powers were just dope, but he just has snakes coming out of his chest, just tentacles. I think that's just like shoot, like for me, that is on like the bottom barrel in terms of powers on this show is what Butcher got in order to fight. Unfortunately, it's just not cool. So I think like you're losing it there and it's compromising. So those two things work each other. Like maybe if it was just cool and there was some sort of interpretation that was unique for him to kind of take on, it might have worked. But to me, his powers are like super weak.
I didn't mind that because Butcher's always been a monster. I know he does what needs to be done, but even the way
Yeah.
that his teammates react to him and view
Yeah.
him, I think he's always been that way. So I kind of like that his powers are just, in a way, disgusting.
Hmm.
But James, to your point, which I think is a brilliant point, Homelander losing his powers and needing to live without like his powers would be pretty satisfying as well, because that would bring everything full circle. The
Yeah, for
entire
him.
show, like you said, is built on, I mean, superpowers and powers as product. So for him to lose that, because that's the only thing that makes him super. Outside
We
of
got
without
to.
his powers, he's nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And
then you end up with Butcher with powers, him without powers.
and then Huey
And
can kill Butcher, and then that'll work. That'll work for me.
I think so that we're putting out something different. I think Mother's Milk, and you obviously you throw in his name with Homelander's infatuation. I think pairing those together, I think it would be pretty satisfying for him to, in some sort of way, get the ending in terms of what had happened to his family with Vought and stuff like that. So I feel like that's another potential to pay off. And I think it's good that there's multiple ways that we're all connected to the downfall of Homelander to this point across the board on the boys.
And still playing on James's point, Mother's Milk does
Yeah,
not have powers, which I
yeah,
think makes it the
yeah.
most.
And stay true to that, right?
Yes,
Yeah, stay
yes,
true to
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yep.
So play around with the code, but yeah. With that, we appreciate your time here with us, guys. Joining us for the next segment here shortly with Daredevil. But thank you very much, and we'll get you again soon. Bye. Welcome back to the Premier Squad podcast, segment 2. Today we'll be going over Born Again, season 2, episode 7. I'm your host, Jerome. I got Ken as my co-host here with our guests, Dom and James. Once again, we'll be going over our pros and cons from the most recent episode, favorite scene, as well as our score out of 10. Ken, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Jerome. So overall, I thought the episode was fine. Pros, Daniel Blake. I think he's been a strong
Yeah.
supporting character, like we discussed. He was not very good last year, but he's much better this year. Um, I'm actually gonna get into my cons now pretty quickly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I,
Go
I
ahead.
I think with only 2 episodes, okay, so obviously you have the finale next week. I
Mm-hmm.
just like a lot happened, but it felt like a lot didn't happen at the same time. Um, and this, again, I've spoken on this a little bit last week, and I think the supporting characters have been better. But I think now looking at it holistically, we've gotten a lot less Daredevil because of it. And I get it. Like the supporting
Yeah.
characters really needed a lot more care this season, and because of that, we've gotten less Daredevil. And I just think for the episode right before the finale, I just hope to get a little bit more of him. But again, I don't want to attribute these positives to this episode, but a few things that happened this episode that made me really excited for the finale.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bullseye. One good deed. I think we had a great conversation last week about the ounce of
Yeah.
heroic nature in him. So it was cool, to see him step in and save the mayor,
Governor. Yeah.
and or forgive me, the governor. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And another Luke Cage.
Shout out.
Name drop. Yeah. So again, like Bullseye obviously being a key player in the finale, that's really exciting. I love all his action scenes. I love that character. I love the way the actor plays it. Just has a cool factor. And then Luke, though, just the thought of Charles sending Luke in just to shut down all of this, like rebellions and all this other stuff. And just like
Mm-hmm.
uh the fantasy of getting to see Daredevil fight Luke Cage is something that keeps me up at night. I know, like, Batman versus Superman, and that's cool too. But I
Yeah.
think like this is, these are both two street level characters. So
Yeah.
again, just for the possibility of seeing that, and then Bullseye's involved too. Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. But overall for this episode, just think it was just okay. Like, so probably give it a 6, knocking on the door of a 7, so 6.9.
Yeah. Okay. Dom, over to you. How were you feeling about episode 7?
Yeah, I thought Ken made a lot of good points. That's pretty much, how I feel about it. It was an episode. It was the penultimate episode before the finale
Hmm.
next week, and it kind of played like that a little bit, a setup episode to kind of set up the finale next week. We saw a lot of the side characters' arcs almost come to a close here, or getting ready to come to a close. We saw Daniel depart us,
Hmm.
choosing to do the right thing in the end, and saving BB's life, which cost him his own. And we saw Heather become one step closer to Lady Muse
Yep.
in a very interesting scene with Karen.
Hmm.
So that is starting to come to a start, and we saw Matt return to the courtroom, which was
Yep.
nice. We were talking last week how we missed Matt's courtroom scenes, so
Yes, sir.
it was good to see him back in that environment, even though it was completely rigged and he's playing for the cameras. So
Yeah.
it's not quite like how he usually is in the courtroom. But so, overall, it was a slower episode. I kind of talked about pacing issues last week, after the great episode we had where Daredevil and Fisk finally meet and fight. We get to this episode, which slows it down again quite a bit. Kind of hard to pick out a favorite scene because it's going to be a dialogue scene.
Yeah.
I probably would take the Karen and Fisk confrontation, which kind of
Okay.
kicked off the episode. I thought
Yeah.
we had been waiting a long time to see them interact. It might be the first time in this Born Again era that they've actually had a conversation.
Hmm.
And I like the scene because I think Karen was right about the fear that you can see in Fisk right now, because he's losing control of the city,
Yeah.
and it's quite obvious going into the finale. So
Yeah.
it was so true that Fisk lost his temper and nearly choked her out. So
Yeah.
um,
Once he loses Vanessa, because of how much that's tied with his character, everything just
yeah,
starts shearing at the seams.
yeah, starting to lose the city for sure. So I probably give that my favorite scene. With Ken on the ratings, I'm probably just an average episode. I'd probably give it like a 7.
Okay. James, over on to you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I had a lot of the thoughts a lot of my thoughts echo what you guys were talking about. One of the issues I think with this being the penultimate episode is that it doesn't really do anything to spark the fuse to get me excited for the finale.
Yeah.
An issue or something I just thought of right now, listening to you guys all talk, the side characters and how they sort of slow down a lot of the Matt Murdock development. I think that's an issue with the show. We might have too many characters uh to sort of like put here into this giant puzzle piece that we have for the season of the story arcs. It would probably work if we had a longer season, but with the way everything's working, I feel Cherry, God, Powell. Like I feel there's so many characters that can may have been like combined to achieve
Hmm.
the same goals while still focusing on some of our mains. I think the courtroom stuff was weak with Matt, even though
Yep.
it
I
was nice
agree.
to see him back there.
Yeah.
I feel it was just like they threw that in there just to say, "Hey, look, remember he's a lawyer."
Yeah. I agree.
I'm like, but I'll let you speak on that, Jerome. My favorite scene, I guess, it's more not so much a scene, it's more an effect of Daniel Blake being shot, and it reminded me a little bit of the that Penguin show that you guys all really liked. I don't know if you remember with that one that
Yep.
one character that had to go. Sort of not the same kind of character, but sort of similar. Like you kind of like got like this dopey sort of side character that's getting into the world or gets trapped into this lifestyle, and because of this
Hmm.
lifestyle, they meet
Yeah.
their end.
100%.
Yes, so that sort of consequence, like real actions are having consequence. I like that, but also this is something that should have happened maybe in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
So speed things up to get to whatever, because at the end of the day, this is a Daredevil show. We want Daredevil. We want, his confrontations. Yeah, overall, I'd probably give it like a 5. With like all my numbers, I'll hold until the whole
Yeah.
picture is painted.
I appreciate that. And then when it comes to me, I feel like one of my pros was kind of like walking back my statement on what the whole Buck and Dr. Glenn scene with her choking him out, is you can kind of see kind of now what he had saw as leading her down that path, like you guys talked about, on of her becoming Lady Muse, and how that scene sets up her availability for aggression now um with Karen. Um and really getting to like, okay, I've Buck's just sitting there like, now we're twisting her onto our side, really, because she starts off as just like a therapist, just like a lawyer would be in a general situation, without her ties to the extraordinary that we see in the world of the MCU. So now we get to see her take a step in that direction with Buck, and now really start to act on her own desires as they become closer and closer to the criminal side of the conspiracy that goes along with what Fisk and Buck want to set up for his New York City. Another, just a little pro, but then it turns into a con, is like what you guys had talked about, was Matt's lawyer time. I really wanted to see that, or I was really missing that this season. So they brought him back, but then the argument was between McDuffie as well as the prosecuting lawyer, and like them cutting kind of back and forth between the two wasn't the feel that I wanted to. So in kind of bringing him back for that brief moment, it just made me want him to actually take on the case and take on the speaking side of that. So I think it turned into more of a con for the episode. I think
Jerome,
also the
can
transition.
I
What's up, man?
give
Go
you a
ahead.
thought quickly on
Of
that?
course.
Do you think like the point of this scene, because again, like Kingpin is quote unquote framed Matt as like a hero. So
Yeah.
even Matt coming in and just far as like publicly supporting Karen is a win, even though like only his presence is necessary. Do you feel
Yeah.
like they needed to build on that at all? Like, because again, like I said, it's I don't know. What do you think?
No, I hear what you're saying, and maybe he isn't as tied to the case as McDuffie is because she's been the one representing. I just don't know if that's the decision I would have made if you're like, because you're right that him stepping into that is for the feels for the audience and the cameras that they literally pan to, that are still shooting in there. Um, it's just, it makes me want to hear him speak because he does such a great job speaking as a lawyer. And when he goes at it with these other two, it doesn't feel the same when they're just cutting between McDuffie and the prosecutor on and their points. It doesn't hit the same
That's
as a
fair.
courtroom scene with Matt leading the way. Um, but besides that, then like the transition from like the courtroom to the garage, I felt like wasn't as smooth as it could be,
I
and
agree.
that scene kind of playing down, like it felt a little amateurish. Um, and then once again, like Jessica Jones speaking scenes is like all about just explaining the plot. Um, and I don't feel like we're really getting anything out of her scenes when she's like talking. I feel like they're just putting there for exposition
Yeah.
sake. So um, those things kind of like held it back. As far as my favorite scene, like James was hinting at or talking about through Daniel's death was really good to me because it is not, once again, it's not the top that's going to see the ramifications when their house of cards start to fall. It's going to be someone like Daniel, who went in full bore thinking they're doing the right thing, extremely excited, just getting played as one of the patsies in case things start to fall. So I really liked that triggers pull, his face turns to the side, and it's over, because that's who's really going to feel the ramifications first and foremost. But yeah, I do feel like this episode was slower, and I probably give it about 6.5.
Yeah, another con that, I was thinking about was how they kind of just brushed over the whole, not, I mean, they did brush over it. It was very brief, but also like the whole Luke Cage thing, I don't know, it doesn't make a whole ton of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Mr. Charles sent killers to the house
Yeah.
to kill Jessica, but her husband is working for Mr. Charles overseas. are we supposed to not believe that that's against his will? Like he's having to pay off his debts because of some trouble he got with Harlem's Paradise. It's confusing. I hope they clear that up next week.
Yeah.
Don't just leave it for the next season. But and then they just gave one little line of dialogue about it and just kind of left us in the dark about it. Just not really on board with that, with the way they're doing that at the
Right,
current
because
time.
Charles said, I told them not to shoot. But you would think that he would have more control over them than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't get that either. I didn't get that either.
Yeah.
Good point. That's a good point you brought up.
I guess you could just see like Jessica kind of jumping in and just like, okay, there's people here with guns. Like she has a no bullshit attitude. So she'll just come out there and start knocking heads.
Yeah.
Well, they threw
When you start
something in
interpreting
that.
it. Yeah.
Did they
The
not throw something
flashbang
in the
I
grenade.
feel like a
house?
grenade
Yeah,
or
the
something.
flashbang grenade.
Yeah.
So yeah, once again, like why even do that? Like
Yeah.
what does that have to do with what Charles said that they were sent there to do?
Mhm.
Feels like it goes against each other.
I mean, because it would be cool if we find out that that order came from Val to kill Jessica, and even Charles didn't know about it. But I feel like it's just bad writing, so I won't go there.
Yeah. Do you feel like we're to get a mix of Matt as a lawyer? Because the case still isn't over, right?
No, she went back in her cell. She said, "I'm gonna stay here and go." Oh, sorry.
I mean, the ruling hasn't come down yet. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, because I feel like so we're setting up for like a big ruling and then some sort of final face off between Daredevil and Fisk. Yeah.
yeah, all of this has to end. I mean, we know what's coming. We've seen the trailer for Spider-Man. We know Fisk is out of power. We've seen leaks that have come out this week. So we kind of, this has to end. It does feel rushed a little bit. But
One episode left, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna see how this all closes.
Yeah, I mean, because I think the second Kingpin doesn't execute the assassination on the governor, it's over. Like it's literally over. You cannot have any witnesses. You tried to kill the governor of New York.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's
Mhm.
at this point, it really is bigger than you. Like you don't have an Avengers team. It's over. Like I know,
Yeah.
like Matt will, do some cool stuff, probably knock him out with his theme song playing, and that's great. That's cool. But it's over. Bullseye literally saved the show. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's
the
true.
governor, yeah.
And the governor, yeah.
Do you think he goes like? Do you think he flees? He runs, or do you think Matt's gonna get him incarcerated?
Yeah, so the set leaks, man, like
Yeah,
revealing some stuff. It looked like Kingpin was, he had like a gray beard and he was just like
yeah.
walking around, kind of like not undercover, but just like blending into society. So I'd say he didn't get locked up, but he cannot be mayor, like we're saying.
He probably gets exiled or something like that and is,
Thank you.
left uh to his own devices on an island somewhere or some other
Mhm.
city,
And is that supposed to be a win for Matt?
I mean, who knows? We'll see where it falls at the end of this season. So, and they have a
Yeah.
lot. They have a lot to do. I feel similar to the boys in terms of with this as well. Like we don't have enough. I feel enough rail track, for the train to go on to like give us like a thoughtful conclusion. It's
Yeah.
just yeah, but who knows? We'll see. I'm not a writer, so maybe they have some grand scheme afoot that is going to wow us in the final episode.
For
Yeah,
40
hopefully
minutes
they
is
do.
gonna be tough.
'Cause
But
we
like,
got
I got a question for the
Go
team
ahead.
because I know, like,
Yeah.
again, like just to put our business hats on, I know we all saw like the numbers. They said that the viewership decreased by 50% from season one to season two. Any thoughts on why that is? Even though all of us consider this to be superior to last season's to last season.
It's probably just the general like hype of the initial first season back is the comeback, right? Of Michael Jordan coming back after taking a year off, where everybody's hyped for that. But now we're going in the second season. There's always that drop off when you go from the first season to the second season of anything. So we get over that initial hype of Daredevil's back now into, okay, can we follow the continuing story after we've taken a break from it?
I think
Yeah.
I think some of that has to do with the season one wasn't as good.
I agree.
So a lot of
Yeah.
people, it's you'll see this in movies too. A lot of people tune in and they're like, like this Daredevil isn't quite like what we wanted. So by the time the next season comes around, a lot of the
Yeah.
general audience is like, well, the first season I wasn't really into. So even though this one has a more cohesive creative team, people just didn't show up. So this, and
Yeah, you've lost them in the first season. Yeah.
Unfortunately, while this is better, I don't think it's enough of a 180 to like really like win people back to
turn it around.
I think they're they've what's the saying? They've set their they planted their flag, and unfortunately it just wasn't enough, I don't think. So that's just my opinion on it.
I think the common denominator is, there's no Frank Castle, and people want Frank.
You know what? We'll see the viewership for that
the one shot.
People want Frank, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Frank.
But
I mean, for Frank to get put in a Spider-Man movie means there must be some demand for him.
That's good. It's not Daredevil.
Yeah, that's true. Because
I mean,
like it's legendary, man,
and not just catching a brick and saying a cool line. Say a bit more than that.
No.
I mean, to put Frank next to literally like the company's mascot and the biggest money maker, I guess speaks.
Yeah, they put
a
lot killer.
How popular he is. Yeah.
There could have been. I feel like there was maybe more going on in the MCU too, but we're kind of in a little bit of a drought right now, so that maybe could be something to do with it too.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, with that, like, question for the audience is: are we excited as this transitions from Born Again season 2 into Daredevil, The Defenders, Born Again season 3, and can they set up enough in this final episode to win us back over as we go into Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and the team that Daredevil will have going into season 3? But yeah, with that, guys, we appreciate your time with us. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Welcome back to the Premier Squad podcast. I'm your host, Jerome. Today we have segment 3, episodes 7 and 8 of Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord. With me, I have my co-host, Ken. I have Dom, James, and Smitty. Going over this episode, once again, we'll be going through our pros and cons, our favorite scene, as well as our score out of 10 for these 2 episodes combined. Dom, if you'd like to take us off, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll start us off. Some of the pros from this episode, from these 2 episodes, was I really just enjoyed seeing like how terrifying the Empire can be and was. They really just swarmed on Maul and his crew, and just wave after wave of attack ships came in with troopers, and you could just see them getting squeezed, and you really just felt the power of the Empire. So I really enjoyed seeing that. Another pro that I had was something that Daredevil kind of failed to do was get us really excited for the finale next week, but also offering great fight scenes in there as well. The 2 Inquisitors versus Maul was great. I love the kind of area that they fought in with the overgrown underdepths of the city, and they had the waterfalls, and just really good location and good action there for that sequence. Another pro I had was just like the stark contrast of seeing Maul kind of get bodied a little bit, and to see him kind of a little more human after he's just been unbelievable through the first 6 episodes, and these 2 episodes, they really humbled him a little bit. We saw his backstory a little bit more, what drives him, what motivates him. I mean, we saw him cry, we saw him get defeated. He really had to just sacrifice himself or self-destruct to just survive the Inquisitors. So that was good to see. I don't think it was a con. I think it's good to see that kind of character growth. So I thought that was a solid pro. I don't really have many cons to say. Again, this series has been just incredible. I didn't have any cons last week, and I don't really have any cons this week. I thought Docky finally did something dope. That force move where he took the speeder and launched it into the ship there where the stormtroopers were. You know, we got to give Taki some credit. That was pretty dope. He finally did something cool that I liked. Yeah, overall score, I would probably give it an 8.
Okay.
Solid penultimate episode before the finale next week. Favorite scene? Favorite scene would probably be the Inquisitors versus Maul. Yeah, real solid. Good lightsaber work. So, yeah.
Alrighty. And Cam, we'll pass that on over to you.
Yeah, I think Dom said a lot of good stuff. I think one thing that I just want to build on, because for me, the world feels so lived in. So when the Empire comes, it makes their impact that much more significant. I thought Andor did a really good job of that too.
Yeah.
When the Empire or when these external threats come in and like shoot shit up, if the world doesn't feel lived in, it just feels orchestrated and it feels more like an action scene. So it felt like, to Dom's point, like, you know, pretty terrifying. Another positive, I really, again, you know, I love the action, the way that it's choreographed, it's stunning, the way that it's animated. But I also liked how strategic it was, how Merrick and the 11th brother fought. Like they rotated from offense to defense. And we have two, you know, force users, characters that have some skill that can be difficult to counter. And obviously Maul's knees, you know, has been messed up for a little while. So I really
I
liked
feel that.
that. And even when you go back to obviously episode 1, I mean, like the way that Maul handled Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, like he would try and like separate them and fight them individually. When they fought him both at the same time, he had trouble. So I like that here. And he still has a bum knee and still did very well.
Throwback.
Cons, again, I think at the end of the day, it's satisfying. I mean, I think the 2 episodes like that we get are strong. They're short, but it's just enough. So I mean, like nothing. I think the show is exactly like what it wants to be and what it needs to be, and it executes that like very well. So I don't have like really any cons. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Okay. Let's head on over to you to Smitty.
Yeah, I mean, just echoing what's been said already. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of cons. I guess like I'm slightly less invested in, I guess, what would be considered the B story right now of Lawson trying to get his kid back and all that going on. I
Yeah.
like you could just add more runtime to what's going on with Maul and the Inquisitors, especially with the bringing in the 11th brother. But I mean, I still think it's still really well done. So I'm not like I'm just less invested because obviously seeing high level lightsaber combat is significantly more entertaining to watch. In my opinion, just the action. But honestly, though, my favorite scene wasn't part of the action. It was actually the after Maul collapses the cavern and he's going through like his past, seeing how Sidious went to I forgot where they're from, but Maul's people, and then the Dark Sisters all live there. Going there and like recruiting Maul, and Savage being right there saying like, "Don't go," and like he's like, "Well, I kind of got to go." Seeing why he's so tormented by Sidious, and like and then also jumping back through like after he's cut in half by Obi-Wan in episode 1, that he survives basically on his pure hatred for being cast aside by Sidious, and seeing him going insane when he has like the spider leg body on the trash planet, and then Savage finds him there.
Scorpion
and
King
just
Maul.
Yes, exactly. But seeing all of that kind of unfold in like his visions, and you can tell that his psyche is like as well articulated as he is. His psyche is still like partially broken. He's not fully there. And I thought it was interesting seeing how he pictured Obi-Wan rushing him too with the green lightsaber, because I was like, Obi-Wan doesn't use a green lightsaber. I was like, but then I had to go look it up, and I remember that it was because he used Qui-Gon's to cut him in half, and so
Yeah,
that's what he's
back in the day.
remembering. He's not remembering
Hmm.
anything else but that. So I thought that was a neat little detail. But yeah, no, overall, like I've really been enjoying this show. Honestly, anything involves Maul and like focus on dark side in general, I'm probably gonna at least give it a slightly higher score just because of my bias. But
Hmm.
I think these two episodes, setting up for hopefully a very climactic ending where they're keeping things pretty under wrap of what's going on, and kind of seeing um Merrick kind of interact with the 11th brother. It doesn't feel like he was talking to the 11th brother in the Holocaust, but I'm curious on if it was, and if there's something a little extra about the 11th brother, and that's why he's kind of slightly intimidated by him or not. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I'll give it like a. I think I gave the first six at 8.6. I'll keep this kind of riding about 8.5. It's right along the same. I think it's carrying through really well.
Oh, awesome. All right, James, let's head on over to you.
Yeah, no, you guys touched on some really cool points. The thing that I'll say that's one of my favorite pros for this is the way that they break down Maul both mentally and physically at the end. I think it was eight. Because he's built up during this entire show to be, it's called Maul, the Shadow Lord, right? This guy's always been in control. He's leading his team. He's, doing setting all this stuff up,
Yeah.
committing these heists. And then now you have here at the end of this episode where, he's defeated physically, but then also to touch on Jalen's point, they go into like his psyche and he starts thinking about all the other stuff that's happened to him and this quest for revenge and whatnot. Like, is this really like the end all be all for him?
Hmm.
And the fact that this show, which is essentially a kid show, takes time to paint this character in a way to have him reflect on that. I think it's some really mature writing for something like this, and that's probably my biggest takeaway is the writing for a lot of the character stuff here. A con for me, I don't know, like I don't want to sound like I'm a Star Wars hater or anything like that. So I'll just say like for kind of what Kid said, this is a show that knows its audience. It's written by people that understand what the audience want and they more or less give it to us like 85% of the time. I'd probably sit around giving this a solid like I'm around a 7 for this entire series. Not to
Okay.
say that it's like oh it's like bad or not written well or anything like that. It's just I'm not really
Hmm.
the target audience for this, but even I can extrapolate some really good points and
Yeah.
the things that
I
they're
mean,
trying to
shoot,
do here.
you're on your grading scale, man. That's a solid grade. I don't know what we're
Mhm.
worried about there.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and I think for me, a couple of the pros were how well I think they did Maul's visions, and once again the voice acting when we're leaving him as in control, and you like Jalen had touched upon, like Schmidt had touched upon, the breakdown that he's had and him kind of going through that, I think is delivered very well with the animation of kind of fighting through the sands of understanding like the his arc and how he's has since episode one garnered these visions through Clone Wars. Um, and so seeing all that was really good. I also think that but for me, I really want to put that dissenting opinion out there that this was the first time that I felt the first six episodes week to week, two by two, was a step up every time. I felt like it actually went down this time, and I did not enjoy these episodes as much as I did the first six. Um, One of the cons for me, especially, was I felt that Merrick's two episodes were a lot better than the 11th brother, and that his like what he portrayed in seven and eight didn't really hit as well for me. That he was kind of just, I mean, he's a brother, so it's a copy, but what I'm kind of noticing now is I've gotten over the initial hype of the way that the lightsabers and the battles have been going, and it's starting to get a little repetitive. And what I really want to see is more impact moments during the lightsaber fights. instead of just a flashiness as they move about. Um, that being said, my favorite scene was just a little bit as we see on the bridge. We're going to chaos. We got Devin, we got Maul, we got everybody, all the clone troopers coming in. Um, and there's that little moment in time where Riley and Devin share a look at each other. And she decides, not, this isn't obviously going straight to the full dark side, but she steps towards the dark side. And in that moment in time, Riley is lost. And all that, that Master Docky was talking about, like trust her ability to defend your son is lost because she takes that initial step away towards the dark side instead of going towards um, Riley and escaping that situation together. So that was my favorite scene. But overall, yeah, this is the first time that I didn't feel as hyped about the two episodes. So I'd give it a 7 out of 10. But I really want to
Excited,
know. Go
the
ahead.
finale.
Go
Excited
ahead,
for the
Dom.
finale next week. We gonna see maybe a Paul Bettany cameo, huh? Gonna see how
Oh,
Maul takes over the
Yeah.
Crimson Dawn.
what's his name? Luther Vandross or whatever the heck that dude's name is.
Dude, some of
Yeah.
those names that they have listed in there are so hard to like remember. They got some anime names in there. I'm not gonna
Called
lie.
Vision.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I definitely agree with that. The
Um,
before we started, the Josh, you were talking about the 11th brother. What, and you were
mhm.
saying his mask looked like something.
Yeah.
What was
So
your reference?
I just totally thought it was Reaper from like Overwatch. Like, and I looked him up, and like with his hood on,
Oh,
it is nearly the same identical face. So that kind of
I
caught
got
me off
very
guard when I first saw him.
okay. I got very Plague Doctor vibes. Like if
Okay.
you took like the Plague Doctor mask and you just
From
made it like
Diablo, right?
no, just from like literally history, like the Plague
Oh, okay.
Doctors from during like
Yeah.
the Black Death era in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
was
the
getting
kind of vibe I
Khonshu vibes.
Khonshu
Khonshu,
vibe.
Khonshu, that's
Yeah.
great. Gosh,
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
the
like
Disney
Plague
property.
Doctor, but like styled up and make it Star Wars is
Mhm.
the vibe I got.
The
And then
question I have for the team though is, what do we feel like we need to see in the last two episodes, in order for this to feel satisfied into how episode one of Maul has come out? What are our thoughts there?
some kind of trajectory for Devin and Master State Farm for, like there needs to be some sort of resolution to that storyline where like Devin either joins with Maul or
Hmm.
what about just Docky dying? Would that be enough?
yeah, like him dying or
Okay.
her cutting him down would be nice, but like it's not that deep or mature of a show. I'm
no,
Yeah.
I don't think she'll make that hard of a turn.
yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that would help me. I don't really care about the police force guy, but like he's there to showcase how much reach the Empire has. Like Ken said,
Yeah.
you know, this is the Empire we're talking about. Like one wrong move, you can come and get your whole command stripped from you, and uh
I'm also curious about Lawson talking about how he like worked with the Jedi in the past. And I wonder
mm,
if we'll get like another Tales story about that where he's working with
that
like
could be
an
a
Ahsoka or like an Obi-Wan like back in the day before the Empire took over. But the other
Hmm.
thing is I'm wondering because it seems like uh Lawson and his wife, or at least Riley's mother, are separated. I'm
Yeah.
curious if like they just have very differing opinions on the Empire, and like Lawson's like he's like
He
I'm not gonna
works
be
for the
outright.
Empire.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like
yeah.
I mean, technically everybody works for the Empire, let's be honest. But yes, directly, yes. But it'd be curious to see if like that's why like she's like, oh yeah, like buys into all the like the Empire propaganda, and like he's like, you're completely wrong about all that, and that's the big divide between them, and why she was like, right, like he's just working, like don't even worry about it, like it's like
Hmm.
I'm not coming back over there to deal with this because I don't want to deal with him.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting side point for the story that I don't care as much about, but it did get me thinking a little bit. Um, but to bring this home for these for the finale for this season, um, Man, if we get like any type of like involvement with like Dark Sister magic, bringing in like a Vader
Hmm.
or some other big name to be involved in this, would be dope to see. Even I mean, shoot, even I don't, and again, we talked about this, Sidious probably won't get involved because it's like this is so beneath him. That's why we have Inquisitors and we have Vader to go carry out. And he's like, I'm I'm upper level management. I don't go and do grunt work. I have people for that.
Yeah.
So I'd understand him not doing it, but he does have that connection directly with Maul that he may be like, all right, you know what? You guys aren't doing it. I'm gonna take care of this myself because I know like I already killed his brother. Might as well try to kill him too. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they finish this out.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely like a conclusion for Devin and Docky. Even if like she like joins up with the Crimson Dawn and says like and just like doesn't say like I'm not leaving the dark like the light side of the force, but like I can't follow it the way that you want me to. Um,
Yeah.
and she like plays that like middle ground would be even I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, Jerome, to answer your question for me, and again, I think everybody's hit on like good points. Um, it's tough for Maul to really have like too much of a character arc or character development. I think in conception, he's a cool supporting character. But
Yeah.
if Vader were to come, I think that'd be the only thing that would be satisfying for me because you'd have the two uh not apprentices, but
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Sidious is,
face
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I think that'd be for me satisfying. I think that'd be like the most satisfying conversation Maul can have because as of right now, like all the conversations he's have, they sound cool, but they're not really. Again, like this character is what he is meant to be. So that's why I think like James articulated it perfectly. Like you look for Devin to get more of like a character arc. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I would love to see, and I know like we said this off camera, so I'm gonna say it on camera. But yeah, I'd love to see Vader come in and kill Devin or Docky or both. And
Yeah.
that would be pretty satisfying for me. I know it is like, technically a kid show, but that'd be pretty satisfying for me. Cause I've been clowning on Docky, and I think he deserved it, all of it. And I don't care what type of voice he has. Like the dialogue that they've given him is very, very cookie cutter and damn near like disrespectful to Devin and anybody that would follow him. But I do respect that he's still alive, and you can see why he survived Order 66. For as much danger as there has been, it doesn't seem like he's really been in too much danger, like himself. Like it's been like
Yeah.
kind of casually just surviving, and I respect that until
Just
Vader
when he was
comes.
face to
I
face
know
with Maul.
Yeah,
he's always
yeah,
talking about like how he's trusting everybody else in their moments of peril. And he's kind of gliding through it himself. I feel like when we get into the finale, like you talk about, I'll never forget when I got to see the end of Rogue One and the post credit scene and what 30 years later animation does for Vader as he walks through that hallway, taking on everybody with the glow of his lightsaber that now has the proper special effects to really get us hyped. So bringing that into this world and like to see some type of overwhelming power that he has, as like obviously many of our characters have are very good at moving around and are very flexible. So just come in, just be baseline, just taking over would be exceptional um, for the show and the energy that I have going into May the 4th.
I think it makes the most sense too. Like it's not something that's like too fan servicey or out of left field. Like there needs to be a reason why Maul is always so deathly afraid of Vader, and I think this is the moment to write that into Star Wars canon because
Hmm.
it's been missing. So I think it makes the most amount of sense. It is May the 4th. I think I give it like an 80% chance that it's going to be Vader in the finale for sure.
Yeah, and
And we'll all be stoked.
like Ken talked about, like, and as we know, Maul is who he is. He has a story arc that's been written out for him way past the end of this series, wherever it's supposed to end. So having him juxtaposed with someone like Vader is the perfect way to bring those two like worlds colliding outside of the interactions that he's had with Sidious.
No, I was just gonna say, do we think that the
Yeah.
Inquisitors are slightly OP? I mean, we talk about the Sith rule of two, and it seems like all series long they've just been running roughshod over everything and anything. And I know Maul had a bum knee, but bum knee or not, I mean, Maul is trained by Sidious. I mean, he should be able to take out both Inquisitors real easy, because if the Inquisitors are too overpowered, what's to stop them from taking over the Sith? They're supposed to be a big step down from, you know, people who were apprentices to the fucking Sith Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
would say,
just feel like they're slightly OP in the series, but hopefully Maul wipes them in the finale. We'll see.
I think yeah, bum knee does play a part, and it's a 2-on-1. Plus, yes, Maul was trained by Sidious, but at the same time, like, he still kept Maul weak enough and broken enough that he wouldn't be an actual threat in a lightsaber combat situation, which is why he was able to handle him and his brother in that type of situation so easily. I think there's like a hierarchy of, like, you have Sidious, who is like the pinnacle, and then you have Vader, who is the only reason he's not above Sidious as far as pure combat ability is literally just because Sidious made his suit to diminish him. And then Maul would probably fall under there. But you also have to remember that the chosen one of the Force trained the Inquisitors. And he's probably not too far off from Sidious. And if he didn't have all the stuff with his suit that was basically keeping him in tremendous pain constantly, and you got him like healed up, throw him in that back to tank for months on end, like they did with Boba Fett.
Yeah,
we might be in a different conversation where the Empire doesn't last as long as it did, because Vader might be like, oh yeah, I can handle this now. So there's those things to factor into this. So I don't think they're overpowered, and I do think, I mean, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly from Ahsoka, I think Merrick is like powered by like Dark Sister magic, which is like an extra level of like fuck you to the Force.
So is he dead here then? Because I was thinking we would see him die. Are you saying that he's dead here in this series already? Another Night Sister magic?
I'm not sure. He could be, and that's why he's in this the suit that he's in, because the same situation that he's rocking in Ahsoka. The very oh my gosh, Dark Souls 3-esque Lord of Cinder vibes going on over here. But yeah, I mean, he could already be dead, and it's just someone who is very force sensitive that Sidious thought would be a useful tool to the Empire, and culling the population and going and hunting down Jedi. Who knows? I'm not entirely sure about Merrick's timeline on when does he die, when is he resurrected with Dark Sister magic. I don't know. So I'm just saying, I think that could be a factor into it as well, on why they're so powerful. And obviously Sidious is choosing the correct people and having some type of outside the Force specifically type of magic or outside effect could make them more loyal to the Empire, where they aren't thinking about overthrowing.
Yeah.
And then you have your other ones that are like the lower end ones, where they're just not worried about it. Even if they did try to usurp, it's like, all right, Vader's going to take them out in 2.2 seconds. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Because there's a hierarchy even within the Inquisitor ranking. So
Dom, it didn't bother me.
That's just my take.
It didn't. Yeah, I agree with everything that Jalen said. It didn't bother me. And I was watching it really closely because I thought it was a good point that we brought up last week. But like, again, not just a bum knee. I mean, when you have to fight two people at once, because, and again, like they strategically animated it perfectly. Like when Maul was fighting one of them, the other one would just use the Force. that's just tough. Like I know, like obviously power levels, yeah. Like obviously Ahsoka one-shotted the 11th brother. Definitely, I
Mhm.
get it. But again, like when you have to fight two people again that are trained, that are very well trained, it's if they just approach it right, it's tough. Like I said, like if Maul's fighting one, the other one just uses the force. It's tough, but it didn't bother me. But I see where you're coming from though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, if there's one lesson that everybody on this panel and probably most Star Wars fans out there that we need to learn from Maul, specifically in Episode 8, it is to please take care of your knees, um, whether you've had them replaced like Maul or not. Keep them lubricated. Make sure you can do a squat with your body weight, and then you two will also be able to take on a couple Inquisitors, even potentially if it's malfunctioning on you. What is one thing that like we could really pull from Maul so far, in whether it's his character arc overall or just from the show that we're engaging with right now?
Stay driven. Don't let some haters keep you down, because and it doesn't have to be through hate. Like Maul is just running on full pure hatred for Sidious.
Hmm.
But hey, man, if you got something that you want to do, you can accomplish it if you put your mind to it.
Yeah,
Might
I
might
think.
might not want
Go
to do it
ahead.
through some illegal avenues. I'm not promoting that, but yeah, stay motivated.
I think like one thing that I kind of talked about last week that you can really carry over into these episodes and into Maul is in the realm that is the Jedi versus the Sith. Maul has found a way to carve out a little space for himself in the Star Wars universe that is separate from the two. That where at the end of the for most of his lifetime after episode one, he is neither a part of one of those two spaces, and he's still found a way to carve out a little bit of the universe for himself.
I think something we could take away that maybe we shouldn't do is kind of like how Rook Cass. I like what Rook Cass said this week. How he thought that Devin was clouding his judgment, and the chase for his apprentice is clouding his judgment. I think that's something we could take away in terms of not getting distracted by things that are just too unobtainable. If he had simply just let that go, he would have been off planet. He would not have been humbled. He would have been,
Yeah.
still on top. He wouldn't have had to gone through everything that he went through in these two episodes if he didn't get distracted. So I thought Rook Cast had it dead on this week.
Yeah, his mindset
That's
is
something
really
that we.
just to emulate what the Empire was, and because he has so much hate for Darth Sidious, he wants to maybe potentially usurp that power in his own way by having
Well, I think he needs help. He
Devin.
knows
Yeah,
he knows he can't take Sidious by himself. So he's trying to get help from Devin to train her so that he can go 2-on-1. But
I mean,
or
last
maybe
time he went
just
2-on-1, he still lost. So he's he's still trying to find like, hey, I'm
not
gonna
even
keep
his family
throwing bodies
members.
at the problem, and I'll figure it out eventually.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, because Devin was like, "So how are you going to do that?" And I kind of was curious what he had to say, but he didn't really. It
yeah.
didn't make.
He
He was
didn't
just
he
like,
didn't
He
know.
"Come
said,
with me, and
"Join
I'll
join
show
me, and
you."
I'll tell
Yeah,
you."
yeah.
Yeah, I was
How
like,
about you give me a
Devin,
part
join
of
him.
the
I want to
plan and then
know.
I'll join
Yeah,
you?
he got mad. He got mad off that stuff. Yeah, he got mad off that question.
He didn't have anything to say.
He said, "I'm about to tell somebody some plans that I have without them joining me first. Are you kidding me?"
Right.
But yeah, I think trying to emulate that structure that the Sith had, I think probably works against him instead of trying to see some other pathway to obtain the goals that he wants to obtain is probably just a big part of his downfall. Any other life lessons from Father Maul?
I think so. Jerome, I was going to use your point, and then Dom, I was going to use your point after, but like, yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, he has the Force. He should be able to feel what his followers or troops or teammates feel about like the entirety of the situation, and he should be able to feel that he is beginning to lose. Not beginning. He has already lost their support, and I think this
Yeah.
again. plays on Dom's point, but he's completely blocked that off because he's focused on something else. But the Force should really clue him in on that. So, yeah, that's what I'd say. I don't want to take away from him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, when you're the not to discredit your point at all, but when you're also technically the ruler of Mandalore, you're kind of, I mean, you're a monarch. You're kind of like, you're my subjects. You do what I say, and if you don't, you'll be dealt with. Which I feel like Maul would absolutely be in that type of situation where he's like, oh, if you're not going to follow me anymore, well, then you're against me.
Yeah.
Not when you
That's
tell
fair.
them to leave the credits behind, man. Yeah, they want
Yeah,
the
once he said to leave the credits behind, I was like,
come
ah.
on,
That
man.
big box of money.
They want their credits. Come on,
Yeah.
Maul.
They might be Mandalorians, but like you were not of Mandalore, so yeah, you
Yeah,
might
not
have
yet.
taken the throne, but they're about their money, not about you.
Yeah. All right, then. With that, we appreciate your time here with us today. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Thank you to my guests, my co-host, spending our time here together. This is exactly what I wanted to see come from this kind of situation, is just the time spent going through more of the characters and more of the universes that we get to have put out there. So appreciate it, and we will see you again soon. Thank you. All right.